Hi, I'm Liv and welcome back to the Book Nook. Hey guys, so thank you so much first of all for all your lovely comments on the last video about the new job. It's all very exciting. I was supposed to have started by now and also was supposed to have done another couple of videos, and then I came down with a bad bout of stomach flu, so I haven't been particularly well, but I'm feeling better now. So today's video is going to be another who knows when haul, because for the past kind of 2 and a bit months that I've not really been recording, I've had all these books that I've acquired. And you know me, I like to try and do things in the right order, as in I like to haul the books in the order that I got them. But I moved some things around in my room the other day and they all got kind of jumbled about, and I was just like, okay, this is going to kill me a little bit inside, but I'm just going to do whatever. So I think I have separated out the ones that I have bought this month to at least calm that little, you know, hyperanal bit of me, but I'm not entirely sure. But I'm trying not to care, I'm trying not to give a shit. So let's just go over the books that I have acquired over the last couple of months. I'm going to start with, it's not actually a book, it's a magazine. It is issue number 3 of Extra Teeth, which has a story in by my dear friend Alice Slater, and it is a banging story, banging magazine. Very much recommend you go and get yourself a copy. It is a literary magazine based out of Scotland, and they do 2 issues a year, and in this issue there's some names that you will probably recognise other than Alice Slater's name, and that's Laura Williams, Helen McCrory, there's some other names in there, and some other names that I've never heard of, and have really been enjoying. I'm sort of dipping in and reading the odd one every now and again. I'm trying to like make it last. Then I got myself, and this was quite a while ago, a copy of the new John Classon, The Rock from the Sky. I'm a sucker for John Classon, even more so now that my godson is really, really into John Classon. All of the John Classons, he absolutely loves them. And it's super cute because this one has become a bit of a staple. When I've put him to bed a few times, this is one that I have to read. I think it's because he knows it's a longer one than some of the other books, so he knows that he gets a bit longer. But it's also really cute because there's a bit where the rock lands from the sky and he goes, boom, and it's just the cutest. Lovely book and lovely godson combo. Then I picked up 2 books in, it's another sort of new bookshop that's opened up on my local high street that's kind of like a, it's a bit like, I think it must be sort of like Seconds, book Seconds. It's primarily kids books, but there are some fiction, mostly crime stuff. It's kind of like The Works, but the bookish bit of The Works, but they had some of Hilda and the Troll. Well, I say Hilda and the Troll, it's Hilda and the Midnight Giant and Hilda and the Bird Parade. I've never read any of these. I know they are loosely based on sort of Norse mythology, and there's going to be a cracking Netflix cartoon animation of it, which I haven't started watching yet, but I'm going to, so I thought I'm going to get some of these. I am already internally itching because I know some of these are out of order. I'm not so good at this. Okay, I think I've loosely figured out some of the older ones. Right, this is He Used Thought as a Wife by Tim Key. He is a comedian and poet. You may know him from Taskmaster, you may know him from stand-up, you may know him from other things, but this is a book that my godson's dad picked up and he brought home, and I had a little look at it and I was like, gonna need a copy of that for myself. And it's billed as like an anthology of poems and conversations from inside, and it was written over lockdown, and some of them are sort of like real observations, all of them are very funny, some of them are completely made up. And it's just a very Tim Key, funny, wacky, observational type thing. I've dipped in and out and I'm very, very excited to read more. And I also just really love this cover. Then around that time I also got myself a copy of this book, which is called Multiples, and it's edited by Adam Thirlwell, who's done lots of kind of weird and interesting stuff. And I remember reading a few of his when I was in uni and doing some essays on weird fiction. Now, the concept of this book, and I'm going to read from the back because I'm probably going to get it wrong, but it's an ingenious all-star international literary relay race in which stories pass from hand to hand, from language to language, changing all the while with surprising and frequently funny results. So I think the way it seems to work is there is one story which then gets translated into English by one writer, then another writer takes that and translates it into their first language, then another writer takes that and translates it back into English, another writer takes that and translates it into their language, and so on and so forth. And it does it with a few different stories, and it's looking at differences in translation, looking at differences in style. There's a few different stories in there. It just sounds like a really interesting kind of literary experiment in translation, and there's also one in Icelandic in there which I'm going to try and understand, but it's going to fail because I know like 3 words. So I just thought this was a really interesting book, and I'm very intrigued. Next up, a copy of Skyward by Aaliyah Whiteley, author of the... what was it called? I literally just looked it up. The Beauty. It was that weird kind of mushroomy tale that I have mentioned previously that I read and really enjoyed. It got under my skin. It was a sort of post-apocalyptic, all the women turn into mushrooms. That was very poorly done. Now this is a kind of another sort of post-apocalyptic in that there's been like an interplanetary war, but it's meant to be a sort of sci-fi look at post-colonialism and sort of who writes the stories of colonialism, who really in this war who actually won and who wrote the story about who won. So it looks like a really interesting one, heard really good reviews about it. Also a gorgeous cover, very excited for this. Next up is a book that I know is super out of order because I pre-ordered it and it arrived around my birthday, and that is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Kornichek. Now this is a book that is a Norse mythology based one, and it tells the story of Angrboda, who was Loki's wife, or the mother of Loki's children, and is not really sort of talked about much in a lot of the Norse myths, and it's kind of a retelling of a lot of those stories from her perspective, and it promises to be witchy and awesome and Norse and cool, and I'm here for it. I am hoping though, I must say a few of the kind of Norse fiction books I've read over the last year, 18 months, I have found slightly disappointing, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's to do with managing my expectations, but I'm hoping that's going to be better than some of the others have fared. Then again, one I bought a while ago, and one that really shows that I've been in such a reading slump, because I bought this one and I was going to read it straight away, and then I didn't, and I haven't touched it for ages, and that is Deborah Levys' Real Estate. This is the third and final in her living autobiography series. Wow. And I'm really, really excited for the conclusion of this. You guys know I love Deborah Levys' writing, I've loved this trilogy, and I'm very excited to read the final instalment. Also, it's signed, which I'm just really, really happy about. It's got a little cartoon, can you see? Then I picked up a copy of Adrian Rich's Dreams of a Common Language because I realised I did not have any of their poetry, and it really bummed me out because I've been reading some online and I realised I didn't have a collection, so I picked up a collection. There we go, that's that one. Then I picked up a book that I'm really intrigued by because I basically know Sweet FA about it. The only thing I know about it was a mention about it in, I've said about it too many times, a reference to it in, what was it called? Wow. This Is How You Lose the Time War, and that is Travel Light with the Varang Saga by Naomi Mitchison. Now I don't really know much at all about this. All I know is that it's gently Norse, as it says on the back, and it sort of plays with feminism and plays with fairy tales, and it's written in a Norse manner, and then also this Varang Saga is looking at sort of British holidaymakers but writing about them in the style of the old Norse sagas, which I'm just really excited for. I think the main thrust of Travel Light is about a Valkyrie named Hala, who becomes one of the most important Valkyrie of all time, and I was just really intrigued by it. The few mentions and references to it in This Is How You Lose the Time War just had me intrigued, so I did it. This video is taking me far longer than it should as well, because another mark of how long I've had some of these and how much of a reading slump I've been is that I'm having to remind myself what some of these books are when I pick them up, because I know I really wanted them when I got them, and when I look at them again I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I got them, but I can't really remember at first glance with a lot of them. Early on in one of the months that we are covering, I picked up a copy of The New Wilderness by Diane Cook. Now this was shortlisted for the 2020 Booker Prize, and I was mostly intrigued by this one because I read Diane Cook's short story collection Men vs Nature, and it was fucked up. And it's about a sort of pollution-devastated metropolis, and the only escape is this new wilderness, but people haven't been allowed to leave and go there, and then they are, and things get weird. And yeah, just because I know how much I enjoyed Man vs Nature, and that is a very weird word because it was so messed up, but I'm just really intrigued by this one. And I've been really awful with, I mean, my intent last year was to read the Booker shortlist. That didn't happen. Then I picked up a copy of Line by Niall Bourke. This is published by Tramp Press, and I think I saw this described as like a speculative take on the British obsession with queuing, but I think that may have been tongue-in-cheek. But it is about an endless line which you have to queue up in, and then somebody's grandmother dies on the line and he finds a mysterious book in her possessions and it changes things. But it's meant to be really interesting, a really sort of fresh new voice, fresh new take, and all of that. I always get really weird when I'm saying buzzwords, even though it's not when I haven't come up with the buzzwords. I'm just a parrot. Really excited by this. Then I picked up a collection of poetry after I saw at Muxie on Twitter tweeting about it, and that is Jack Spicer's After Lorca. I've always had a weird relationship to a lot of poetry that does that whole after thing, and they're poems written sort of to the poets or after poems by poets. I've always had a weird relationship just because of stuff at uni. But I saw some of these poems posted on Muxie's Twitter when he was talking about this book, and they were just absolutely breathtaking. So I picked myself up a coffee? I did pick up myself a coffee, probably on that day, but I actually picked myself up a copy of this, and I'm very excited. Slim little thing, innit? Then I picked up myself a copy of Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers because it's on the 2021 Women's Prize shortlist. I fully expected to have no chance of reading any of the shortlist before the winner was announced, but I've just double checked, and because time is a soup and I think it was put back, it's now the 8th of September the winner's announced, so maybe if I get a wiggle on I could read some or all of them, or at least, you know, the one I've got. That'd be good. But it's about a woman working for a local paper who somebody gets in touch and says that their daughter has had a virgin birth, and things go from there. So just very intrigued. Then I got myself a copy of The Allfather Paradox by Ian Stuart Sharp. Now I'll give full disclosure here, when I bought this I thought it was a graphic novel, but that's because I'm dumb and because another of Ian's works is a graphic novel or a couple of graphic novels, so I just got confused. But either way, I'm here for it because it is about a young boy who discovers an old man staring at a Viking memorial, and then shit happens and timelines intertwine and he gets pulled into a Viking world, or the Viking world gets pulled into the Christian world, and all sorts of things happen. And it's wibbly wobbly, time is a soup, and Vikings and shit, so what's not to love? Then another one I picked up, which I did actually start reading, I've just realised now, and I started reading it when I picked it up in town and was waiting for somebody, and then I never carried on. And that is The Sunken Land Begins to Rise Again by M. John Harrison, which was the winner of the 2020 Goldsmiths Prize. Wow, the 2020 Goldsmiths Prize. We're in 2021 now, there's probably going to be another one in a minute, but from what I can gather this is mainly about sort of conspiracy theories and the power of conspiracy theories, possibly a little bit of climate change in there, but I could be totally wrong about that and just be thinking it because it's got fish in it. That made sense in my head, good luck getting there. Then I picked up a copy of the book which I have seen loads of people raving about ever since it came out in hardback, and I've been meaning to get it in hardback and I never did, and oops, all of a sudden it was out in paperback, so I got it. And that is Love in Colour by Bolu Babalola. Now this just looks fantastic. It's a collection of short stories, short love stories about black people. And oh no, I've just realised I think it got dropped and it's all creased on the back. Dang. But yeah, very excited to dig into this one because I've only heard good things about it. Next up is another book that I picked up because I've only heard good things, and I was really intrigued by. I had a little look at it myself in a bookshop and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm sold. And that is Variations by Juliet Jacks. Now this is a collection of short stories using real history and sort of found material and things like that, so some of the structures look twisty-wisty, weirdy-bitty... What? I'm just rhyming shit now. The structures of some of these look really interesting and very much up my street, and they are all around trans and non-binary history, and it's just really I've got something on my foot! Exploring the history of British transgender and non-binary identities, and it just looks really important, really good, really entertaining, and as I say, the structure of some of these, just even flicking through them, the visible structure of some of these, I'm like, ooh, yes please, yum, 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 yum. Then when I went to the Exeter Little Book Fair up at Powderham a few weeks ago, probably nearly a month ago now, time is a soup, I picked up a copy of Patrick Ness's Burn. I've really enjoyed Patrick Ness that I've read in the past. I've read Release and another one I've forgotten. I've been meaning to get around to the Chaos Walking trilogy and I haven't. I've been told I'm not allowed to read A Monster Calls yet, but I think I'm probably nearly ready for that one. Annie, am I ready for that one yet? But I'm really excited about this one because it's got a dragon in it. It's about a girl who lives on a farm. Dragon turns up on the farm. There's a conspiracy theory with the dragon and some FBI agents and this girl. It just sounds awesome. I mean, if you worked on a farm and a dragon landed there, you'd be like, whoo, this is a change of scenery. I'm in for it. And then I didn't actually mean for this to be the last one. But here we go, this is one that I picked up in my new place of work, and that is The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. I have not read nearly as much Octavia Butler as I need to, and this I believe, and I hope, and I very much hope I haven't got it the wrong way around. I hope I have got it the right way around, the right. It's the first in a series or duology with The Parable of the Talents, so I'm very excited to read this. It's about a young woman who can feel the pain of others as her own, so it's like empathy but amplified, and then something happens and the world shatters, as it often does in fiction, as in life. Oh, wow. So very excited to get to that one. The last book. I managed to stack up all of these books and the last one falls on the floor. On the other side of the camera. So to do the thumbnail, I'm going to have to do some ninja. I'm ever so sorry about the rambly, waffly nature of this. You can tell I've not been feeling very well and I'm a little bit delirious and warm and about to sneeze. Bear with. Who knows what kind of a mess I'll manage to edit this crap down into. As per the usual, have a little chat with me in the comments below about any of these books that I have hauled. Have you read any? Are you interested in any? Have you liked any? Have you disliked any? Maybe go less on the dislike thing, you know, let's not cut our expectations too much. And in general, just have a chat with me in the comments down below. I've been ill for a week, I haven't really spoken to anybody, so human contact please! Right, I will see you next time. Thanks very much for watching, goodbye!